Hello, friends. Hello, friends. This will be the next lecture for embryology uh, by the gentleman of medicine. We'll talk about general embryology. We'll talk about some terms in embryology. In anatomy, we describe the adult based on assumptions that the body is erect with the upper limb by side and palm directed anterior. So we'll have anterior and posterior. Also, we'll have superior and inferior. But in animal kingdom, the term described as cranial, caudal, dorsal, and ventral. In humans, we say anterior, posterior. In a pregnant woman, she has anterior and posterior views. But for the baby inside in the womb, we'll get the terms like the term we use in animal kingdom. We say ventral and dorsal, okay? And we say cranial and caudal. Ventral and dorsal in humans, superior, inferiors, but in embryo, we'll say cranial and caudal. Okay, we have a median plane. A median plane is a vertical plane of section that pass longitudinally through the body. Okay, the term lateral and medial refer to structures that are further from or nearer to the medial plane of the body. This is the same for embryo and for adult human. A sagittal plane is any vertical plane passing through the body that is parallel to the median plane. A transverse plane refers to any plane that at the right angle with the median plane. The frontal or coronal plane is any vertical plane that intersects the medial plane at the right angle and divides the body into anterior or ventral and posterior or dorsal. Some embryological terminology. Embryo. The embryonic period extends from the end of the 8th week. It means 65 days. And here at the right, the illustration of my own illustration for an embryo, early life. While the fetus, it is after 8 weeks. We call it fetus, not embryo. And this is my hand illustration of a fetus on the left of the picture. A zygote. The zygote is a cell result from union of oocyte and sperm. As a zygote is the beginning of a new life, human life or any other life. It begins with a zygote. Gametes. Gametes are specialized sex cells that fuse with another gamete during fertilization of organisms. They are the ova and the sperms. Oocyte or ovum. It is a female germ or sex cell produced in the ovaries. Sperm. The sperm refer to the male germ cells. Morula. It is a solid mass formed by cleavage of zygote. It resembles the fruit of mulberry. Blastomere. Cell produced by cleavage or cell division of a zygote after fertilization. Blastocyst. After the molar enters the uterus, it begins to form a fluid-filled cavity. Blastocyst. Embryoplast. It is the inner cell mass of blastocyst. It is the beginning of life of the embryo. Primordium. It is the beginning of the first describable thing of an organ or a structure. Like here, this is the primordium of a hand and legs. Implantation is a process during which blastocysts attach to the endometrium. Gastrula. It is the three-layered embryonic disc. Neurula. It is the area during the third or fourth week where the neural tube is developed from the neural plate. Gametogenesis. It's formation and release of mature eggs or sperm from males and females. Spermatogenesis, formation of a sperm in the testicle of the male. Oogenesis, formation of eggs or mature eggs in the ovaries and release of it. Meiosis, nuclear division results in reduction of chromosome numbers in germ gamete cells. While mitosis, it's a nuclear division in which two nuclei, each in which contain complete copy of parental chromosomes. Trophoblast, this is the structure that provide nutrient to the embryo and develop into large part of the placenta. Haploid cell. Haploid cell contain one set of chromosomes, only found in ovum and sperm. While diploid cell, the first diploid cell, results from union of the sperm and the egg. Angiogenesis, meaning blood cell formation. Here, blood cell formation in the embryo from mesodermal cell or blood islets, which consists of angioplast and hemoplast. And here to the right is the first blood vessels. The first blood vessels in the embryonic disc take the U shape, then will transform into interconnecting tree of blood vessels on the right. Okay, let's go to the trilaminar embryonic disc and see what's happening. Here is the trilaminar embryonic disc with ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. And of course, surrounded by sacs full of fluid, amniotic cavity, and yolk sac. And it's connecting to the uterus by the connecting stud. We have two types of mesoderm. This is a little bit confusing, but I'm gonna simplify it for you. We have the extraembryonic mesoderm. Extraembryonic mesoderm in the uterus, it's not part of the embryo. This mesoderm is in the amnion, chorion, yolk sac, and connecting stalk. While the intraembryonic mesoderm, it is in the embryo, it is the middle layer. This is the difference between both of them. So now at this stage, two depressions will appear. One depression cranial and one caudal. The cranial depression is oropharyngeal membrane at the cranial end, and the other depression is cloacal membrane. This is will be the future mouse. And the other depression, the caudal one, will be the future opening for digestive system, urinary system. Here, the endoderm is fused with ectoderm. Here, oropharyngeal membrane and cloacal membrane. Okay? And here, the endoderm and ectoderm, there is no mesoderm layer here. Okay. At the oropharyngeal membrane, there is no mesodermal layer. At the cloacal membrane, there is no endodermal layer. Most of the structure in the processes are sacs for support. The actual baby is the trilaminar disc. Here's the actual baby, is the trilaminar disc. We have fluids, chorionic sac, amniotic sac, and yolk sac. Again, in the middle is the embryo, and it's surrounded by amniotic sac and yolk sac. And all surrounded by chorionic cavity, fill of fluid. Here is amniotic sac, chorionic cavity, yolk sac, and here is the trilaminar baby connected to the mother by future umbilical cord. It's all embedded in the wall of the uterus. Beautiful. Embryology is so easy. Again, chorionic cavity, amniotic cavity, yolk sac, all surround the embryo. Embryo here is 3 layers. This cavity located outside the embryo, so they are called extraembryonic coelom. Coelom means cavity, so they are extraembryonic coelom. While later on, the baby will develop intraembryonic coelom or cavity inside the disc. The yolk sac provide nutrients for the embryo at the early stage before the development of the circulatory system. Great. Okay. In the mesoderm, a structure will appear. We call it axial mesoderm or notochord. I show it here in yellow, in my concrete in yellow. So this is the axial mesoderm or notochord. And we see now, we talk about the function of this temporary structure. Here, the notochord. It determines the longitudinal axis of the embryo. And its growth is limited by the oropharyngeal membrane. Can grow further. Here, another concrete, my handmade. Here is a mesoderm. In the middle is a special type of mesoderm called the notochord or axial mesoderm, ectoderm, and endoderm, above and below. Mesenchymal cell will migrate from the primitive node, forming the notochord. So here is the notochord. Beautiful. Notochord is the temporary axial skeleton of the embryo. And it will disappear and forming the nucleus pulposus of the intervertebral disc during the formation of vertebral column. So its fate will be the nuclear pulposus. So what is the function of the nuclear pulposus in the adult? It is shock absorber. Like here, when I play the surf, I have to jump and land again. So all the force will be absorbed by this nuclear pulposus in the spinal. So the notochord is the transit embryonic structure not existing in the adult. It required for patterning the surrounding tissue. Here is the notochord in cut section. Here is the notochord in the mesoderm. Above is ectoderm and endoderm. The notochord will affect the upper layer, the ectoderm. This is a stage of neurulation. This is a folding process of the embryo, cord neurulation. What the notochord will do, it will affect the ectoderm. Okay, the notochord induce the overlying ectoderm to form neuroectoderm and neural plate like this. Look, ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Here is the notochord. It will affect the overlying ectoderm and separated it into two layers, neural plate border and neural plate. Neural plate and neural plate border. Beautiful illustration. Here is a notochord, and now there is a second ectoderm on neural plate, and there is a ectoderm and neural plate border. Look what the notochord will do. It will cause invagination to form a neural fold. Look, invagination. And then a neural tube will form it. And neural crest cell will form it from the lateral plate. Neural crest cell and neural tube. And then the notochord will disappear. And its function now, clearly, it forms the first coelom inside or cavity inside the baby. Neural tube. This is the first coelom. Neural tube will form the central nervous system dorsally, while the neural crest cell will form the peripheral nervous system. Beautiful illustration with colors, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system in violet. The central nervous system consists of the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerve and spinal nerve. Some of the neural crest cell will migrate to the heart and form part of the right ventricular outflow tract. That's why sometimes they say that the heart has a memory by its own. Maybe it comes from this cells. So here is the extra-embryonic coelom. Okay. Here is the cavity. The dorsal cavity, it is the first coelom to be formed, and it will hold the cranial cavity and vertebral column, hold the brain and vertebral column. Understanding development of the embryo can be very confusing because embryos are three-dimensional structures that change their shape over time. But I'm trying to simplify it for you as much as I can do. Embryonic folding. The embryo transfers from a flat plate, embryonic disc, into three-dimensional structure. Here is the embryo. It's a flat disc. We start by the lateral folding like this. I'm gonna hold the embryo in my hand and make the lateral folding. As I make the lateral folding, the ectoderm will be outside, and the endoderm will be inside, and the mesoderm will be in between. Mainly inside is the digestive system, and of course it's made from the endoderm. The outer skin will be outside, and it's made from the ectoderm, and in between muscles and bone and all other structure are made of the mesoderm. Craniocaudal folding, other folding. This is a cranial side and caudal side. I'm gonna hold the baby like this. This is cranial side, head side. I'm gonna fold it. And because the endoderm, ectoderm, and endoderm are connected on the cloacal membrane and oropharyngeal membrane, the bend will be like this. It will bend more at these two sides. And this is the lateral bending. Okay, let's go to more details of the lateral bending or lateral folding. Here is the mesoderm. I'm gonna divide the mesoderm again into many layers. We have already mentioned the axial mesoderm. We have the paraaxial mesoderm. We have the lateral plate mesoderm, and in between that's the intermediate mesoderm. The intermediate mesoderm will further divide it into parietal part and visceral part. Okay, here is the lateral plate mesoderm, and I'm gonna make a cut in the lateral plate mesoderm by my hand. Okay, into visceral and parietal lateral plate mesoderm. The visceral plate mesoderm will go move downward like this. Taken with it, the endoderm. And there will be other cavity or coelom. It is the gut cavity. The other cavity, the second cavity that will be formed inside the embryo, gut cavity. Gut cavity. Digestive tract, future digestive tract. The two parietal lateral plate mesoderm will fuse together, it surrounds the gut cavity and form the intraembryonic coelom. So now the other layer, the parietal layer of lateral plate mesoderm, will descend downward and then fuse together to form the third intraembryonic coelom. We call it intraembryonic coelom. So the baby now takes, embryo now takes three-dimensional structure. We have the neural tube. This is the cavity. We have the gut cavity. This is the cavity. And intraembryonic coelom. This is the cavity. Three cavities now inside the embryo. So the embryo now has a distinctive embryo-like body shape. So organ formed inside the coelom can freely move, grow, and develop independently of the body wall, while fluid cushion and protect them from shocks. Here is the dorsal cavity and the ventral cavity. The dorsal cavity contains the brain and spinal cord. Ventral cavity contains all the viscera in the body. This is the neural tube and intraembryonic coelom. Here is the neural cavity, and here is the intraembryonic coelom. The neural cavity will hold the brain and the spinal cord, and intraembryonic coelom will hold all the viscera, like the heart, lung, spleen, liver. This is the neural tube. Here is the intraembryonic coelom in the adult life, of course. And in between, in green, will be the gut cavity. So the gut cavity will be between neural tube and intraembryonic coelom. And here is the three cavities in the body. From dorsally, there is a neural tube, and ventrally, there is intraembryonic coelom, and in between will be the gut cavity. Here is the embryonic form to the left. Here is the adult form. I cannot simplify it more than this. I made a lot of hell of effort to do this. Okay. The ventral cavity is the largest cavity and will divided by the diaphragm into two parts, thoracic cavity and abdominopelvic cavity. The thoracic cavity will hold the heart and the pleura and the pericardium. Okay, the dorsal cavity will hold the cranial cavity and ventricular cavity, the brain and the spinal cord. I'm coming to the end of this lectures. The secret of my work is loneliness, my feeling of loneliness all my life. Many years have passed, it seems, and I'm still alone again.